Let's get Robert Bates, Research Director at the Centre for Migration Control. Robert, very good morning to you.
Morning, Mike.
Very, very fascinating piece of research that you've got for us here today. Sex crimes by foreign nationals surging, increased by 62% in 4 years. You've obviously got this from the Ministry of Justice. I'm surprised that they wanted to give it to you, really, but tell us more.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think that is an important point, that the Ministry of Justice is very reluctant to actually publish data on crimes committed by migrants. But I think what this data does show, the 62% increase in sexual offence convictions of foreign nationals, is the huge problem that we do have at the moment with the way our immigration system is operating. We're not doing anywhere near enough to actually vet those people that we're choosing to give visas to.
Right.
And then when it comes to the illegal side of things, we're of course allowing in tens of thousands of men each and every year about whom we know absolutely nothing. And when you look at the nationalities that are most likely to be those on the small boats, your Afghanistans, your Eritreas, what we see even more striking, which is a 110% increase in just 4 years. And I think this really shows the sheer scandal that there is the use of hotels and the houses of multiple occupancy across the country. Instead of choosing to detain these individuals and deport them, we have instead inflicted them on local communities, put them next to schools, put them next to old people's homes. And this is really why I think we've seen such unrest over the last couple of weeks, because of course it's awful to see your nation's borders eroded, and of course it comes with huge costs. But I think most importantly, really, for many people, is the sheer lack of security that having these people in their communities brings, the sense of uncertainty and the sheer change and transformation in the face of your town. So I think hopefully this data actually starts to focus some minds and make people realise that, you know, they're not all sort of engineers and astrophysicists, but many of them are actually coming and causing a lot of harm to the British public.
And we've also been told this week that the Home Office has been sending out information to the hotels who are housing migrants currently, that they will also now soon have to house foreign criminals, people who may have served time in prison who have been released on licence. They'll now have to be put up in these same hotels.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's another big problem, which we simply aren't deporting those migrants that are committing crimes. We've now got a record number of foreign national offenders who are eligible for deportation, but rather than actually being sent back from whence they came and put on a plane, they're actually being reintegrated into communities. And, you know, I can't think of a single voter that would feel comfortable about that state of affairs. There's a very clear action that can be taken when a foreign national commits a crime. It's something that we can't do with a British sex offender. It's definitely something we can do with someone that's come from another country, which is send them back. And unfortunately, that's something that governments now have started to fail increasingly at. And the headline figures of removals are, you know, very, very low compared to where they were historically. And then the result is that we have tens of thousands of people now who have committed heinous crimes, received a custodial sentence of 12 months plus, and then been put back into the streets probably where they committed the crime. So I think it's an absolutely ridiculous situation. And it shows really the human rights problem that we have in this country, the immigration tribunal problem that we have in this country, and really actually malaise amongst politicians, which is the biggest problem really. There's been a lack of political will for far too long to address the huge problems that we're seeing.
Yeah, and of course now we've got the prospect of many of these people coming out of hotels, being moved into HMOs, houses of multiple occupancy, in residential streets up and down the country. And people keep saying to me, there simply isn't enough room for all of them.
There absolutely isn't. We've got hundreds of thousands of British people in this country that are on waiting lists. There's one area of the West Midlands where there are 17,000 individuals on a waiting list that they're told they might have to wait up to a decade to actually get their hands on a home, whereas 1,000 or so illegal immigrants have been sort of fast-tracked, as it were, into these communities. They're not always put into hotels, and as the Labour Party are very keen on saying, they're trying to bring down the number of hotels. But what that really does mean actually is that the housing stock ends up getting taken up by these individuals, and really actually it places the problem more central to the everyday life of British people. You know, they are now living next door to people who haven't been vetted. We only know and have identification of about 4% of the people that come across on small boats. So the vast majority of these people are people that we don't know anything about, literally anything about. We don't know their criminal record history, whether they have been sent from a terror cell. We simply don't know. And yet the government, if it's going down this HMO route as the alternative to using hotels, is going to be putting them literally next door to you, I, members of the public. It's astonishing that people are thinking this is okay in Whitehall.
No, indeed. And one of the other startling statistics, I thought, was the increase in robbery for foreign nationals. They've increased by nearly 19%, whereas British increases by British sort of criminals only 2.8%. I mean, that's a massive difference, isn't it?
If you look across a lot of the offence types as well, robbery, theft as well was up by 77%. A large part of the increase in crime that people are feeling, some commentators might dispute that we're currently in a crime wave in this country. I think the ordinary sense on the ground is that things are getting progressively worse. And I think when you compare the foreign national increase with the British increase, you really do see that actually a lot of this crime wave is being driven by a huge surge in crimes committed by foreign nationals. And of course, people always say, oh, well, you know, there's still a minority of the crimes being committed. But the simple fact of the matter is that there shouldn't be a single migrant committing a crime in this country. And when you actually look at the data, they are, in particular certain nationalities, vastly overrepresented in the data. So there's clearly something that's gone very wrong. We need to start looking to introduce a red list where we start to filter out those nationalities disproportionately appearing in this data. Afghan and Eritreans, for instance, 20 times more likely to be convicted of a sexual offence. Let's use that information and start seeing whether we should be doing more at our borders to stop these problems coming in the first place.
And also, even if you don't stop them at the borders, because obviously we haven't, and there's plenty of them who have managed to get in past the border, if you commit a crime in this country, you should be deported straight away. It's as simple as that, surely.
I think so. I think that's absolute common sense, and that's where the majority of people will be. At the moment, we have a very high threshold of a 1-year custodial sentence. That is coming down, but I don't think the custodial sentences are enough, really. I think we also need to be looking at some of those more serious community services, suspended sentences, well, because, of course, many offences, actually, the vast majority of offences aren't dealt with custodial sentences. And you see some of the stories of, you know, maniacs committing heinous crimes and only being given a kind of 300-hour community order. You kind of think, well, actually, I'd probably rather he wasn't here as well. Just because he's not been put behind bars doesn't mean he's got a valid place to sort of be an upstanding citizen or claim to be an upstanding citizen in this country. So let's see what happens. I don't think the Labour Party are going to go far enough on this, though.
No, I suspect they won't go far enough in any of it because they talk a good game, but of course they don't actually manage to fulfil what they said they were going to do. Robert, good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed.